If you know how to scale a home service company and you know the exact foundations to plug into place, it's not that hard to scale a home service company. But what is hard is guessing. I would say the home service space is madly fruitful if you're a kind of person that is hungry, wants to be a business owner, wants to make impact.
Hi, and welcome to the 91 Day Success Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Mast, and today I am super excited. We're going to have a conversation with Laura Kelly. And Laura's got a really amazing story to tell, and she's really doing some amazing things in business. And I'm excited to unpack that a little bit. But Laura, before I try to tell your story, if you would, for those people that don't know who you are, or maybe like us just recently met, tell us a little bit about yourself, who it is that you serve, and how do you make their lives better, Laura?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So, my name is Laura Kelly, originally from Ireland, now living in Phoenix. My passion is really to help people win, and how I do that every day is through our company called Grow with Clover. We help home service contractors grow their businesses. Well, really what we help them do is enjoy more growth, enjoy more profit, and enjoy more fun. And I don't just mean revenue growth, I also mean like growth as an individual and watching your team members grow around you, which can be madly fulfilling. That's what we specialize in. My journey's been a wild one. Came from the East Coast, intending to go back after a year and just learn what I needed to know to go back and grow my business in Ireland. And I met the love of my life along the way, and I'm here. We're almost married 5 years, two little kiddos running around us here. It's been a wild journey. Never thought I'd see myself in the trades, but I love it. But really what I love is helping people win. And we can dig into that as we go through the podcast.
Well, that would be great. That'd be great. I'd love to hear a little bit more, obviously, about the journey, but more than anything else, I'd love to know, how do you come to the US, fall in love, and then get into the trades business
Mm.
versus anything else? Can you tell us a little bit about maybe that path and what that looked like, Laura?
Yeah, it was wild. So I got a graduate visa in Ireland, which allows you come here for a year and work, and you land. I landed in the United States, and I landed with you. You when you land on the you have once you land in the United States, you have 3 months to secure a job that is in line with your career, or else you get shipped back. So I ended up securing something with a venture capitalist who partnered up with Google, which gave me some wild opportunity. Yeah, it was nuts. I intended to go to New York first, but my parents were like super concerned and said, start in Boston. We have a long lost cousin there. So, long lost cousin's basement is where I started. Really, it's that typical story, but that's where I was. And I went to an expo and met this venture capitalist. Anyway, he said, 2 days later, he said, I want you to pack your bags and I have a plane booked for you and you're leaving in 4 hours. Anyway, I was in the city trying to make sure I secured that job, pegged it back out to the train, got back on, packed my bags, two outfits. I thought I was going to be gone the weekend, and I was gone for 8 months building events with him across the United States, alongside Google and alongside some other really big names. So it was a whirlwind, like honestly overwhelming when I reflect back on it. I was in a different state, already in a culture shock, and every other day I was in a different state. And was running the show for him, and it was a lot. Like, when I'm glad I did it, I learned so much from it. Would I want that for my daughter? I don't know.
Fair
um
enough.
but it got me to where I then was headhunted to build an event in Las Vegas. In the process of building an event in Las Vegas, I had to find sponsors. It was going to be the main revenue stream, was sponsors. So I was attending various events that would allow me meet some suitable sponsors. And at one event, Social Media Examiner, my husband was speaking and was a sponsor there. And toward the end of the event, I was actually sick the night before, so I shouldn't have been there at all, really. I just put myself. That's one thing that really, I think, got me through all this, was like, amid the overwhelm and amid not feeling good, I just pushed through. And I did the same thing this time. Was not feeling great, so I was a little late. Anyway, toward the end of the event, they were packing up, and there was a sponsor that I was like, I just have a feeling that this crowd would be a good sponsor. Went over, and he said, well, why don't you meet us for drinks tonight, and we can talk about it. He intended it to be me and him. I thought it was the entire team. And lo and behold, we started dating and going back and forth every other weekend for months. But that night, I remember him saying to me, I was asking him, what brings you here? What do you do? What's your background? And he was asking the same of me. And I had previously been in clinical psychology, well, working toward clinical psychology. And I was working with a gal who had Parkinson's, and it ate my heart up. She was 19, couldn't take,
Mm.
couldn't detach myself from it. And I just kept thinking about her. And so I realized clinical wasn't for me. But there was a young gal, 19, Parkinson's. And my husband, the guy I was just having drinks with at the time, told me his parents owned a company called Parker and Sons. but I heard Parkinson's. So immediately
Mm.
I assumed, wow, no family, must be a great family. Okay, I'll hang out. And he ended up sponsoring the event. Event was a success. And then he was convincing me to move here. And I said, there's just no way I'm doing that. We were already head over heels in love. I was like, I had at this point like less than 2 months left in my visa, I believe. And I said,
Hmm.
what? I'm not going to do that to us. That's going to ultimately, I'm going home. Anyway, we figured out a way to get me 6 months added to my visa. So I said, I figured I'd regret it forever if I didn't at least try. So I said, for 2 weeks, I will leave my stuff. I will leave my stuff in Vegas where I was living at the time, leave my stuff there, and I will take 2 weeks worth of stuff and we'll just test it. And the 2 weeks went really well. And
Obvious.
yeah, we bit the bullet and we did move in together. And throughout that whole time, he was like testing me to see would I stay, and we were all aware that there was only one way I was going to stay, was marriage. There was only
Yeah.
one way. And we both knew we wanted to be together, but I was more fearful of shit. I never excuse my language.
Mhm.
I'm getting married in such a short period of time. Like we'd been together 7 months, but I
Right.
knew in my whole being that we were supposed to be together. So we said, let's just get advice on this. So we called up a dude, we went to a Barnes and Noble and met with a lawyer there. And he was like, you guys are clearly in love. You should just get married. So bear in mind, he'd been like semi proposing throughout. And I kept saying, you're a nut job. Like, we're not getting married. We're barely together. No way. Then we got out into the car after we got the lay of the land. Okay, if you guys want to be together and you don't want to be apart for like years potentially, because it was in and around COVID time,
Sure.
you clearly love each other. You should get married. So we sat into the car and Josh looked at me and said, whose parents are we calling first, yours or mine? And
I
that was our
love it.
proposal. And my background had been very heavy in optimizing and growing businesses. And I immediately clicked with his family, and they're in the home service space. My
Gotcha.
dad was
Okay.
an electrician growing up. So full circle, they sold their company, and there was a lot of people asking for help on how they could grow a successful business, period. Also home service business. So me and my husband joined forces, which was willingly pushed upon us by my father-in-law. He was always just saying, you guys would make a great business pair too. And that's what we did. We went to a ClickFunnels event, we're sitting in the crowd. We actually won an award for a different business that day. And we were like, let's go to our room and plan this thing out. So we sat up in a penthouse room in that beautiful hotel in I think it was New Orleans. It wasn't New Orleans. It was, I'm not sure. My geography in America is still poor. And we planned the whole thing out. And it's been 5 years now, and we've members across the world. And in the home service space, never did I think I'd find my community in the home service space. But I have. There's something about people in the space that is just, I don't know, I resonate with, whether it's because I grew up around it, whether it's just time spent, but here I am.
I love it. I love it. Great story. And I appreciate you sharing that. So, talk to us a little bit about working with contractors. You obviously help them, as you said, grow their business, lead a better life. I know you have a program called your Contractor Catapult program. Tell me a little bit about when you work with a home services company. What do you do with them, and how do you help them, Laura?
Yeah, great question. When people come to us first, it's typically a few things are commonly going on. They either are tired of being stagnant and tired of guessing, like they're just
Hmm.
trying things out and that costs a lot of time, money, and effort, and sometimes hopelessness. They're just tired of that. They're not as profitable as they know they could be. They're unaware of what their numbers look like and how they should look. So even if they focused on their numbers, they're not sure what range is appropriate, and the business is sucking the life out of them, or else they enjoy it and they know they're making impact, but they know they could make a lot more impact, and they know they could enjoy business more, and they know they could have a whole lot more fun doing it because they've heard of either people that we've helped experience the fruits of that, or they've visited a shop and experienced the fruits of that. So that's typically when people come to us. And then what we do with them is we first want to understand, like, where are they currently sitting. A lot of contractors come to me, and I see a lesson I learned early on in my career is that the businesses that do the best are the businesses that are proactive, not reactive. There's a lot of businesses that they come to me and they say, Laura, I want to have $1 million month. And it's the 27th of the month and they've done like 700, and they say they've done 750K, which would be, that's what they've done. And they try to scramble last minute to make up that amount of revenue, and they don't. and then they become this culture that just misses goals, and then goals are just taken less seriously across the whole organization. When they first come on with us, we help them really understand their numbers so they feel equipped. Like, we can map out their numbers for them, but if they don't know how to manipulate them, interpret them, or understand them, there's an element of like, there's got to be a feeling of a lack of control because they don't know what to do to make change. So we really educate them, meet them where they're at, and set attainable goals that the whole organization can get behind, and then incentivize the whole organization to get behind them. Then we build the systems and processes in place to be able to support those goals, if that makes sense.
It does, absolutely, tons of sense, and I appreciate you sharing that. Do you work with contractors across the United States, worldwide? What type of area do you work in, Laura?
Great question. I have a desire to nail a few Irish clients down, but we haven't pursued that enough yet. But we were United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. We have a UK guy, but he bounces between the UK and the States. But that's primarily our geographic is States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. And it's been, yeah, it's fun to watch the Aussies try, and they realize that we are growing, that the home service space is like a very spot to be in, but they also know that culture is quite different in Australia. So what will resonate with
Hmm.
Americans mightn't resonate with Australians, but they also value the speed at which the home service space is growing here and the multiples in which people can get. Like, I'm excited to answer your question here later on the $1,000 idea, because there's just such opportunity in the space. And even for me, I saw it as an unglamorous spot, but there's something very glamorous about just seeing it as a vehicle and using it to make a big bloody difference in the lives of people that you work around. And ultimately, that's what business is. It's a vehicle to live your life. It's not your life.
100%.
But sorry, where was I going before I got
No,
on that?
that's all right. No, we were just talking about, again, how you're working with those, and I'd asked just US based or not, and then you went on from there. So that's great. Actually, you mentioned something that I want to follow up on, and
Uh-huh.
that's the focus on not. We have our businesses not to work in our businesses, but we have our businesses so we can lead a better life.
Correct.
Talk to me about how do you work with those contractors, and what, maybe not specific to your program, but what type of things do you see that contractors are most often struggling with that are easy fixes that'll help them lead a better life, that have a better lifestyle versus just have a lot of work to do?
Yeah, great question. And it's when I say this, they're going to be like, whoever, whatever contractor listens to this, or even maybe business owner period, is going to say, "Yep, it's recruiting and retention. It's being able to get the good people and have and it's being able to get good people and have them stick around." That's a huge part of it. If you're the only person in the truck doing the work, there's only you can only do so much in any given day, and you can't really build your operation because you're out on the field. So
Yes.
getting a good team underneath you is really powerful and important. And there's a lot of people that think they can't attract talent because they're so small, which just isn't true. You just got to think a little differently. So, for instance, you could bring in a technician and offer them and put them on a profit share. For you can decide a profit number, that whatever profit number you're at now, determine what your profit goal is that is attainable but still a stretch, and give them 15% over that profit number. So they're just as committed and now start to act and think of themselves as owners, because they too benefit from the bottom line. Or you can advertise a fruitful career that they could potentially have a percentage of the business and earn equity in the company. There's
Hmm.
which is much more compelling for a hungry individual than becoming just a number in a large organization where it's difficult to learn because you are just a number. So you as a smaller company, for any smaller companies listening to this, you have a unique advantage to recruit and retain great people. So you're offering them, you don't have to give away a piece of your business up front, but you can do a profit share. And what I oh, go ahead. Were you about to say something?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. And a piece, so that would help you in recruiting, but a retention piece, which is very powerful in helping people stick with you, is what we use. We call it the three promises. So every team member that works with us and that comes to work with us, we as the owners, even when the company gets to 250 million, I'm sorry, I can hear that
Oh, you're good.
bing. I don't know. Can you hear that bing?
I heard something, but that's all right.
Yeah. Okay. When team members come to work with us, we make a point to do what's called the three promises. We say to everyone that works with us, we say, we want to make you three promises. We promise that by the time you leave, and everybody leaves at some point, we hope it's for retirement, or maybe it's to start your own business, which we can help potentially invest in. We promise that you'll be in a better professional position than you've ever been before. We promise that because we're going to invest more time, money, and effort than anybody has ever invested in you before. We promise by the time you leave, and everybody leaves at some point, you will be a better person because we are going to invest in communication skills, negotiation skills, various skills that are going to allow you become a better individual, a better person, a better wife, a better husband, a better daughter, a better son. We promise by the time you leave, and once again, everybody leaves at some point, we promise you'll be in the best financial position you've ever been in your life. And we're willing to make you all three of those promises as long as you're willing to make me one, that you're willing to work for it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, there are no shortcuts when it comes to work. We've got to be
No.
willing to put the
Yeah.
time in.
It,
Absolutely.
you can change how a person thinks about your organization changes immediately. And it's a powerful retention tool and a powerful engagement tool. So that would be something that I would really encourage people listening to this to take action on. And I would also say if you're having issues with recruiting, if you meet often enough with the right people, you can solve pretty much any problem. So
Mhm.
put yourself around people who have mastered recruiting and retention. You'd be surprised the amount of people out there who are willing to help you. Of course, that's what we specialize in, but there's people beyond. There's your peers in the industry that would only be glad to share the path with you because they've learned it and they've been where you've been. Reach out for help. And yeah, you meet often enough with the right people, you will solve any problem. You will solve your recruiting problem. And from there, you just get one or two good people and you can begin the scaling process.
Great advice. Great advice. From a practical perspective, Laura, tell me a little bit. How do you find it as a woman in a very male dominated
Yeah.
industry? I'm
Yeah.
thinking as a sales and marketing guy, candidly, it's probably a great thing because it gives you, you're different, you're unique than everybody else that's in there. But if you can share with just a little bit that perspective, again, in a very male dominated industry, what's it like to be a woman in that industry?
Great question. It's I think at first is, and even still today there's definitely, it's much more male dominated. I do now see it as an opportunity for sure. And I actually enjoy it. And I enjoy it, but I also I'm seeing more women enter it, which I also enjoy. When I first came into the space, I definitely felt I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I was like, why I didn't build Parker and
Yep.
Sons to the size that it was. Why should I speak upon the story? So I had to figure out how to share my story, how to just own my own story and operate from that place because that's what made me feel most aligned. And I encourage that. I encourage that of anybody that's listening. Own your own story, and from there you'll feel aligned, and everything else will just feel better and be better. So instead of me saying we helped Parker and Sons grow from 6.5 million to north of 100, that's not my story, so I choose not to own it. Instead, I own my own. And from there it attracts the right people that really have valued my help. And so that's what I would say is everybody has a story. Own your story, become passionate about a particular thing and chase it. And what I mean by chase it is chase becoming good at it. Like for me, I'm very passionate about creating winning cultures. So I have interviewed like some of the best cultures in the world. I've interviewed those people and inherited their lessons, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And from that, I've been able to become quite competent in speaking to that. And that's really been my hack in enhancing the pace at which I feel I belong to this industry, is meeting very successful people in this industry, learning their stories, learning the various ways in which they became successful, and now it equips me with even more helpful advice to impart upon others. And it's an opportunity that most people don't seek out, so therefore it's knowledge that most people don't have, and I do, and it's something that everybody can do, and many people are very glad to share their story because they do want to impart the knowledge upon a person coming up
Mhm.
behind them.
No, absolutely. I think that's really good advice. I'm curious your perspective. I'm crazy about AI and that type of
Yes.
thing. I'd love to get your perspective as a coach and a mentor and an advisor. What do you see the role of AI both today and in the near future for home services companies? Is it something that's
Mm,
relevant? Is it not
yeah.
relevant? Is it, where can they utilize it from your perspective, Laura? And I'm not asking, for an expert opinion on AI, but just where do you see that as a technology and as a tool fitting into the trades?
I find I think it's I too am nowhere near as competent as you are when it comes to AI. I have not spent as much time, but I'm fascinated in it, and yes, I see a huge space for it. I really do see it as a very complementary way, a way to complement humans. I don't
Mhm.
see it as a way to replace humans. I really see it as a way to complement humans. And how it's being currently used in the home service space is via ride-alongs. just like in like the coaching world where you should do you should do role play calls with your salespeople. What we call that in the home service space is ride-alongs.
Yep.
You get in the truck and you go along to the job with them, and then you give them feedback. What's happening now is there's a lot of companies out there, really being an example, being just one example. Shout out to Sebastian and the team. But it's a phenomenal tool that records and analyzes and breaks down and provides and shows and demonstrates opportunity on how each person could have provided not just a better, not just help them achieve the sale, but also it help them achieve better customer experience, better customer satisfaction, opportunity to sell more in a home, opportunity to serve more in a home. And what I'm learning is it's the top performers that tend to like it, and it's the people who are not great that tend to veer away from it because it creates an element of transparency that they don't like. But if a person shies away from accountability, it's because they're afraid what they're going to be they're afraid of the truth. So what I really believe that tool, as an example, facilitates is utter transparency, and only with transparency can one grow. And that's one way in which it's being utilized in the space. But I think we're only scratching the absolute surface. The innovative solution, the innovative take that tool pulls particularly is powerful. Like it's the most cost effective way of facilitating training in your organization. So it's for training, it's only getting started, but I find it madly compelling, and people who are willing to open their arms to it and their minds to it can only benefit. That's how I'm seeing it right now, is mainly when it comes to training, but I'm also seeing it in terms of direct response a little bit, but again, scratching the surface.
Really good insights, and I appreciate hearing that from you, from someone that's in the trade, seeing where it's being used. And I agree with you. I think one of the things that so many people often forget is that AI is a great training tool, and it can, like you said, in a sales situation, it can help those salespersons understand better how to do the upsell, how to handle objections, and it can role play with them in real time. And if you tell it what type of customer to play or prospect to play, it really has a tremendous amount of knowledge and accuracy in giving you the type of objections that will teach you to better overcome those and to train yourself. So I think that's a stellar advice. Well, Laura, I mentioned to you as we got started, one of the things that I always ask at some point in the podcast is, the name of our podcast is the 91 Day Success Podcast. If you were going to educate, I'm using the wrong words, I just lost all my words there. I
You're
love it
fine.
when we do that. If we're going to advise somebody that
Yeah.
was going to start a new business, whether it's home services or any other area, or you maybe yourself was, and they wanted to start, they wanted to know, what do I do in the first 3 months, the first 91 days
Uh-huh.
to be successful, but I've only got $1,000 to start with. What advice would you give them in order to set the best plans to build a sustainable business?
Yeah, and again, not every some females may or may not like this, but if you are open to being in the trades, like being like actually
Hmm?
getting your, there's a lot of in the home service space, there's a lot of amazing women that would welcome this, but I would have shun away from this before I was aware. But if you could get somebody to sponsor you to actually, if you could get someone to sponsor you to actually become technical, and you can do that relatively fast and actually hold your own license and start a home service business, there's coaching companies, us as an example, that can really help you scale fast. But because you've only $1,000, you want someone to sponsor that course for you that you can accomplish in 6 weeks. Then you can literally start taking, if someone can sponsor it for you, or you can find the means, or you can get into this course for the, yeah, sponsor it, get into the course. Then it's relatively, if you know how to do a thing, if you know how to scale a home service company and you know the exact foundations to plug into place, it's not that hard to scale a home service company. But what is hard is guessing. I would say the home service space is madly fruitful if you're a kind of person that is hungry, wants to be a business owner, wants to make impact, wants to make impact not just in their community, but in the lives of their team members. Yes, maybe home services mightn't sound super sexy to you, but what is super sexy is making a big difference in the lives of your customers, your team members, your own bottom line. Like, you can create mad generational wealth in this space. So I really encourage you, from a person who never saw themselves in the home service space to now being immensely grateful that I found it. I would say be open-minded. If you can get sponsored to get into a course for 6 weeks, become technical so you can possess your own license, then scaling is not that hard. And the first things you need to know is numbers first, set relevant
Mm,
goals second, know how to price yourself third, then be able to market yourself effectively, sell effectively, and recruit and retain good people. They're
mm.
the kind of foundational steps which they're the kind of foundational steps that with the right help, they're not that hard to master. Now, when I say master, it doesn't mean you're not going to be making tweaks every week. You
Sure.
probably will, but you certainly will feel you will be, because of how high ticket and prosperous and cash flow heavy this space is, you can make a very good living very fast.
That is absolutely amazing. I love that feedback. That's tremendous. That's absolutely tremendous. Well, Laura, if we've got somebody listening to the podcast today that goes, wow, I need to talk to Laura. I need to understand what you can do to help me live a better life, to explore the lifestyle they want and do that within the trades. What's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
Yeah, you're welcome to reach out to me on my email at laura@growwithclover.com. Laura@growwithclover.com. That's GROWITHCLOVER.com. And I would be absolutely jazzed to hear from any of you. I'm here to help, here to serve, here to help you win. And I appreciate you having me, Jonathan.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I actually think you were the first person from Ireland that I've had on the
There you
podcast.
are. There you are.
We've had some people from the UK, not too far away, but love to have you. Thank you so much for your time, Laura. I greatly appreciate it, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast today and hearing it and hearing what Laura had to share with us. Some just immense value for any entrepreneur, but especially if you're in the trades. With that, make it a great day, everybody, and we will see you on the other side. Bye now.